Dealing with the loss of a loved one is one of the most difficult experiences we have in this life. For children, the loss of a loved one is an especially confusing and frightening experience. In this video, I'm going to help you understand how children process grief and give you tips to help them cope. Hello friends, I'm Wendy Rapp, spiritual life coach and intuitive reader. On this channel, I help you as a spiritually awakened person grow and evolve on your soul's journey. Children live in the present, in the now. They take for granted that everything and everyone they know will continue as it always has for them. So when they experience the death of a loved one, someone close to them, or someone who's part of their normal routine, it's a very frightening experience for them. It's natural for parents and family members to want to shield and protect a child from pain. But we need to remember, allowing that child to openly express what they're feeling and giving them a place where they can feel safe and protected doing so is important for that child's emotional growth. And just as with adults, children tend to grieve differently. They can be crying and very emotional and sad one minute and then playing and seemingly happy the next. The playtime doesn't mean that they're done with their grief. Play is often a distraction that children will use. It's like a defense mechanism. It helps them so they don't become overwhelmed with the emotion of grief. And keep in mind the child's age and level of emotional maturity will affect the way that they grieve. They could be feeling angry or depressed one minute and then guilty and anxious the next. So here are some tips to help you help a child who is trying to cope with the loss of a loved one. The first tip to keep in mind is that you need to be direct in the way you speak to your child about this passing of this loved one. Children are very literal, so don't say grandma went to sleep, or she's sleeping with God, or she's sleeping in heaven. Instead, let the child know, I have some sad news for you, grandma died today. And don't forget to put your emotions into words too. Express to your child how you're feeling. I'm sad too, I miss grandma. Let them see you crying even. When parents try to shield a child from their own grief, it sometimes sends the message to the young one that we shouldn't be grieving, we shouldn't be crying. And then when the little ones are feeling those emotions or having that kind of a reaction, they may feel there's something wrong with them because they are showing those kinds of emotions. Let them know it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel sad. And remember to be age appropriate when answering the questions that your children will have regarding the death of their loved one. Children are curious. They're going to ask questions, and if this is the first time they've lost a loved one, they may have some questions that will feel uncomfortable. Don't shame them if they ask a question that may seem a bit morbid to you. If you do that, they will go to another child to get this information. And when they go to their playmates or their schoolmates, those children will often give information that is graphic, frightening, and incorrect. So it's best they hear it from you. And if age appropriate, and of course it's up to the parent or the guardian, allow the child to participate in the funeral rituals, the viewing, the funeral itself. Gently let them know what they can expect to see. There will be people crying, there will be a casket. Explain to them why we do these things to help us so that we can move on with our own grief. Also explain to the child how they will need to behave when they are in the services. If a child decides that they really don't want to attend, don't force the issue, honor that child's decision. If you do take a young child with you to a funeral service or a viewing, try to have someone who is either a close family member or a close family friend who the child feels comfortable with, watching over that child so the parents can mingle and speak with others while they're there. That person will be in charge of that child. If that child starts to act up, if that child starts to feel uncomfortable, then this person can take that child out of the area. That person can also be there to answer questions for this child and help them. So it's good to have someone who can be there and focus their energies on that child and help the child feel comforted. Another really good idea is to give the child a role in the funeral preparations. Perhaps this child can help you pick out some pictures that are some of their favorite pictures of that loved one that they want to display. Perhaps this child is old enough to read a poem or sing a song. Allow the child to make the decision about that, but that often is a very healthy way for this child to deal with their own grief, letting them have a role in the preparations. And as with adults, grief for a child will continue well after the funeral services have passed. So talk about their loved one, but try to dwell on positive memories. Talk about the funny quirks this person had. Talk about the wonderful things this person used to do. Share happy memories with the child. It's very good for the child to start talking about their loved one in a happy way. It helps with their own grief. Also, if the death of this person is going to in some way affect this child's routine, then let the child know as soon as you can that you are making other arrangements for this child. In other words, Aunt Mary's going to pick you up after school from now on and watch you after school. It helps the child to know that their routine or their world is safe if you let them know that their needs are going to continue to be taken care of. And in the months following the passing of a loved one, a child may begin to experience difficulty sleeping or difficulty concentrating at school or even emotional outbursts. If that's the case, you might want to talk to a therapist or the school counselor. They might be able to give you some good ideas and help for that child to get through that. And don't forget, children are much more open to spiritual energies than most adults. So they may begin to talk to you about grandma coming to visit them at night, or even grandma's in the room with us right now and grandma's telling me this or telling me that. Don't dismiss it as fantasy. Instead, reassure the child that yes, grandma is just letting them know that she is okay and that she's still watching over them and she's coming in to say her goodbyes, but she'll always be around that little one watching over. I hope those tips were helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I upload a new video every Sunday, and I'd love to have you join me here. If you'd like to follow me on social media, the links are below in the description box. And as always, remember, you are a spark of the divine. Share your light with the world. Blessings.